you.
Yes, good to see you.
Happy Friday Fun Night Wines. Good to see you guys again.
We are going to do something a little different. In honor of St. Paddy's Day, we are going to taste test 4 Irish beers.
For a Friday night fun beer tasting.
Yeah.
So we're still in COVID lockdown, most of us are at least, so we thought that this would be fun, that we could, travel to Ireland by glass. Talk about the different regions, talk a little bit about history, have some good beer and some good food.
So even though we can't travel in person right now, maybe we could travel the world by glass with our glasses.
That's been fun.
Yep.
Let's start with probably my favorite Irish beer, Harp Lager.
It's a European style lager. It's golden. Oh, it has a nice kind of fruity aroma.
Tastes fruity too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't remember liking Harp when I was in college. I remember it being very bitter, but this surprised me. It's a lot smoother. It's a lot more of a golden lager that I think of from Europe.
Yeah.
You're right, Chris. When I think of a European lager, they're very smooth, and in contrast, this is more on the bitter side.
Oh, I like it. I guess because whenever I drink beer, I usually, it's totally different from when I was, in my 20s. I just developed more of appreciation for a bitter. So whenever I drink beer, I usually tend to go towards an IPA or just something more hoppy and bitter. So when it comes to this, I like it. I don't like the malty sweetness of beer usually. So this is really enjoyable.
I'm pleasantly surprised already. What a great way to start Friday night fun beers.
That's right.
Cilantro.
So, fun fact about Harp is that it was first produced by Guinness in the 1960s. Guinness, Harp, and a lot of others are brewed in St. James district of Dublin.
But now Guinness doesn't own it anymore?
In the beer, in the beverage world, there has been so many mergers and acquisitions, especially over the last couple of decades. Now a British multinational company that owns a bunch of brands. I'm going to go through some of those.
Yeah, so this company that owns Harp now, right, it's part of their portfolio, is Diageo. And I was shocked at how many different brands this company has. Johnny Walker, even Bell's from Michigan. I was just shocked because I'm familiar with Bell's beer, from Michigan. Oban Scotch, Talisker Scotch, Cragganmore, Crown Royal whiskey, also Smirnoff brand, and Don Julio tequila.
So an English conglomerate owns Smirnoff.
Yes.
I'm a little disappointed.
And a Canadian whiskey, with Crown Royal.
That's right.
So one thing I learned about some of these Irish beers is that because they were exporting primarily as just a source of revenue for the country, they were influenced a lot by British tastes. So and we're going to talk more about Guinness later, but when Arthur Guinness first started brewing beer, he was brewing ales. And it wasn't until I think it was his son started brewing darker beers. Again, it was because of British taste. So I think that a lot of the Irish beers were kind of influenced by, the tastes of other countries, specifically Britain, because that's one of their chief exports. Yeah, this Harp Lager, I love it.
I'm pleasantly surprised. I like it. I'm good. Okay.
So now I like it just on its own, but we also, Angela and I have been hard at work this afternoon, baking and preparing a perfect fare for St. Patrick's Day, what you can plan to eat on next Wednesday. We both of us went in 2 different directions a little bit, but very traditional foods. I had prepared a shepherd's pie with the mashed potatoes from the shepherd's pie. I also made colcannon, which is a traditional Irish dish that one of my best friends who's Irish American, she loves to make this. That's how I first learned about it. It's mashed potatoes with cabbage. Also, a traditional Irish soda bread. I've never made it in my life, so I don't know how good it came out, but the kids liked it, so that's a good thumbs up. So someone's gonna eat it.
Bread with a little bit of butter, who's not gonna like it?
Yeah, and it's a little bit sweet. So it's nice. What did you guys make?
We also made the soda bread, and instead of the shepherd's pie, we decided to do the Irish stew. Now, like shepherd's pie, traditionally it's made with lamb, but that's because that's what they had on hand. So this one, like yours, is made with beef, but that's what we have on hand. When I was trying to figure out a good Irish food to make, I thought, ooh, what about corned beef and cabbage? But that's not Irish, I've read that that's actually a Jewish take on maybe the Irish stew.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do us Americans know?
We're all Irish today.
That's right.
That's right.
So have you tasted anything?
Yeah, so far I've had the soda bread and also the shepherd's pie with harp lager, and I think these are all great pairings. And I think the lager is so universal.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably go with a lot of these foods we have.
I agree with you. I was pleased with all the dinners. So the soda bread, it's a little heavy. It's got a good flavor, so I don't know how much. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to eat because it's so heavy.
We'll see later how well this stands up to the heavier beers like the stouts.
That's a good point.
Right.
And the stew was good too.
This particular style was used Guinness in the recipe.
Awesome. I bet that tastes awesome.
Little red wine and a little Guinness.
Red wine and Guinness.
See, the Irish they're smart. They start with like a cup of red wine and a cup of Guinness, which means you have like a cup of Guinness left and 3/4 of a bottle of red wine left.
That's for the cook, for the chef, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
I was gonna say also, besides the warm foods, I was at Aldi yesterday and they have a nice selection of cheeses. There were 3 different types, and they're Irish cheddar. I got the mild and the mature, and then there's an extra mature one, which I didn't. I just opted for the mature and the mild. And then a pub mix of some pretzels and assorted salty snacks.
All right, so what's next?
So we went from lager. What's our next? We have a red ale.
Oh, yeah, I think the red one.
That's Smittix.
There we go. Smittix, and that's funny you said it right. I always said Smithwick's, but the correct pronunciation is Smittix. It is, I don't know if it's one of the oldest beers in Ireland, but it is one of the most widely drank beers in Ireland.
I've got their beginnings as 1710.
That's what I have. Yep, absolutely.
And it's from 1710. John Smithick moved to Kilkenny, Southeast Ireland.
Yeah, so we're moving away from Dublin and we're moving south. So that's Kilkenny.
Kilkenny. We have another one too that I don't know if you guys have found it. Sullivan's. Yeah. It's also from Kilkenny.
Okay.
I saw that.
This one's from 1702.
Oh, wow.
It says established 1702.
We
Irish
couldn't
ale.
find that.
Now this one is also interesting because it is a very nice history, but in the 1960s it was bought out by Guinness, and then obviously later by Diageo.
Also the Diageo. Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So Guinness and Diageo really have cornered the market outside of Ireland for their beers.
Well, for a short time, Guinness was the biggest beer producer, and now they're known as the biggest stout producer.
Okay.
So yeah, Guinness has a lot of beer under its belt, for sure.
It is the most consumed ale in Ireland. So.
Smittix?
Yep.
So what do you think of Smittix?
It was okay. It was a solid drinking beer, but nothing special about it. Nothing. I got to admit, I was still more. I like the Harp better. So.
I felt with the shepherd's pie, like the Harp was good, but I felt like the Smittix, the heavier the ale, worked better with those flavors and the hardiness of the dish. So, that was a nice combo.
No, Smittix.
The Smittix was good with the bread. It brought more like a biscuity doughiness out of the beer. I thought it was good.
No, I liked it too.
Mm-hmm. So what are we going to move on to next in our trip through Ireland? Moving on to stouts, we're going to first venture to Murphy's Irish Stout. It was established in 1856. And
Chris, do we know which region it's from?
Out of Cork.
out of Cork. So where is Cork in Ireland?
It's in the bottle.
Cork it's Southern Ireland.
Pastry made. You didn't look like you like it. Oh, you're right. I think you were starting to say coffee. I definitely taste some notes.
I wonder if it'll be good with the espresso cheese.
Ooh, yeah.
I think it was good with the espresso cheese.
I do say I do like it better with food.
I had the shepherd's pie. I've had the pretzel. I think you can pair food, at least what we have with the traditional Irish foods.
Mm-hmm.
Pair it very nicely with this.
So talking about Guinness,
The Irish gold standard of stouts, Guinness. And from what I've gathered, they're the largest producer of stout. So this will be interesting, since we have the bottles, you have the cans. This is the Murphy's, and Murphy's clearly has more head on it, even though it's been sitting out for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Wow, completely different flavor.
Now I tried the Murphy's in the Guinness kind of back and forth. To me, the Murphy's is maybe a little more bitter.
Really?
Yeah, I think the Guinness is more smooth. Because I get coffee and I get a little more bitiness from the Murphy's.
I see what you mean, Chris, about the Murphy's or the Guinness tasting smoother, and I think it's a little less bitter, which is interesting. I always thought that Guinness was like, unless it's just also my taste has changed over the years, and since last time I had Guinness, I'm more accepting of the bitter, but it doesn't seem as overly bitter. I thought the Murphy's is a little more.
Maybe my tastes are just different. I still think that to me at least, the Murphy's seems smoother.
What do you think?
I taste a lot more of the coffee in the Murphy's, and I used to like the Murphy's better, but I'm kind of, at least tonight, I'm leaning more toward the Guinness.
This is a Friday night fun wine tip. If you go to the Guinness website, they have a pretty extensive list on food pairings. So if you're ever in a crunch for something that's a little outside of the standard cuisine for Irish dishes,
Or maybe you're hosting a St. Patty's Day party.
maybe.
You want to know what to serve with your Guinness and green beer.
So yeah, check it out.
What about some history about Guinness?
Guinness is in Dublin. Arthur Guinness inherited 100 pounds from his godfather, and he set up an ale brewery. And then in 1759, Arthur signed, now get this, a 9,000-year lease in St. James on 4 acres. Guinness signed in 1759, and the lease was 45 pounds a year for 4 acres. Now, this was the site of a former brewery, but from what I've gathered, Arthur didn't have really much to start with. There was just a lot of, even for the times. But that's where he started, and that 9,000-year lease was bought out at some point when they expanded operations. So, not sure how long they were able to, stretch out the 45 pounds a year for the lease, but
That'd be a
hard
deal
to
right
get.
now.
Yeah, that'd be really hard to get rid of. I'd be like, I'll
Right.
take it over.
And then it was actually Arthur's son, Arthur II. He's the one that was brewing porters, because Arthur brewed ale, and from what I gather, he wanted to get people away from drinking gin as their primary alcoholic beverage. And
Gin?
Really?
yeah, he wanted people to stop drinking so much gin.
Huh.
So he wanted to. His main goal was to brew an affordable alcohol. So it was Arthur II, when he was brewing porters, that he developed the recipe for the Guinness that we know today. And that was sometime in the early to 1800s.
It is. I know there's been wine, obviously, for forever. But when we're looking at the different wines that we've talked about, the history, we don't see this type of a history. It's not going back quite so far. And maybe it's just because a lot of the wines we drink are from the States.
So that should be a change. So those of you that are watching us out here, as Dee mentioned it earlier, we're traveling by the glass during this COVID session, and we'll be traveling across to different countries and tasting their wines, and that'll give us the opportunity maybe to get a little more into the history of those areas.
What do you think, guys?
Friday Night Fun Wines?
Friday night fun beers.
There we go.
Beers and wines.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ching, 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 ching.
Oh, there she is. Ah!
Till next time.
Till next time.
So where we travel to next? Tune in and find out.
Tune in and find out. Like that.
Subscribe.
Ring that little bell.